Hi, this is Zach Meir with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Friday the 25th of April. Starting off with the FTSE 100, where we've got the RSI above neutral 50 at 53. We've got the market consolidating above a slightly rising 200-day moving average. That's at 83.44. And above that, we're looking for this market to at least get up to the area of the 50-day moving average and a March resistance line towards 85.20. End of day close back below the 200-day line, which we're not really counting on at the moment or expecting, could take us back to the 8,000 area, but hopefully that we are actually facing the upside after the massive rug pull and people panicking out below the 7,600 level. Moving on to the DAX, which is trying its best at the moment as well. Here you can see that we've held the gap higher that we had on Wednesday, which is very impressive, 21,700. We've hit the 50-day line, which is what we wanted to do. Above the 50-day line, there's a gap to fill up towards 22,800, and obviously that's all part of the Trump U-turn on tariffs that we seem to be getting at the moment. RSI at 55, so plenty of gas in the tank. If you're cautious, end of day close above the 50-day line, just above where we are at the moment, 22,200. Would be the trigger for a potential and rather unbelievable assault on the best levels of the year. On the downside, if we do break down, then there's a gap to fill towards 21,300. Moving on to the situation at the Dow, and here, if I type in the right code, we've got a situation where still got resistance from the November support line projection, which was our target when we were obviously much higher, near 44,000. On the downside, 40,400. Need an end of day close above that, and for fussy, really 40,800, which was the recent mid-April peak. RSI still not above the neutral 50 level, just under 48. So maybe one more day of proof needed that we are heading higher. The plus point, though, is that on yesterday's dip, we were too strong to fill the gap. So that is a bull signal in its own right. Moving on to Bitcoin, which has been off to the races in the recent past, consolidating basically near the old March resistance, which I suppose wasn't a surprise. End of day close above 95,000 should be the trigger for a move, quite a swift move towards 100,000. The February resistance on the downside, hoping that we might not even have anything lower than the base of the current bull flag, 91,600. Next up is gold, and here continues to be a very strong situation. That's set on the basis that the floor of the channel there and the previous target around 32.70, while we're above that, we're still on course for a potential acceleration to the upside here, as high as 3,800 by the end of next month. But obviously, after all the recent gains and a change in the tariff situation, the need for a test of support towards 32.60 is probably the first priority. Moving on to pound dollar, where it's all about $1.33. You can see that we've got this market consolidating above it. Probably now we want to see a clearance of $1.34 for a break to the upside. There is support from old resistance at $1.32, so basically a range between those two numbers, and it's an end of day close or a weekly close outside that range, which would determine the new direction. We are biased to the upside with the golden cross between the 50 and 200 day lines that we had last week. Moving on to the stocks, and for a change, quite an exciting selection. Starting off with Alien Metals, which looks as though it's finally ready to move to the upside with an RSI rebound above neutral 50. We're holding well above the 200-day moving average, just around the 0.1 pence level. Above that, we're looking for 0.16 by the end of next month. Ideally, there's no price action back below that rising 50-day line at 007. On to Corcel, which I've covered quite a few times. Not quite sure why I cover it so much, but I suppose the hope here is that after the extended consolidation at the lower levels within a rising trend channel base, we'll finally have a spike to the upside, which will surprise people. Top of that channel there at 0.28, and we're looking for that while we remain above the 200-day line, currently at 0.15. I think that's a reasonable risk-reward situation. The other point to note is that we basically had an RSI rebound at neutral 50, so looks as though we're good to go on the upside, although so far it's a modest rise on the day. You can see there's a trend line break there as well from back in February. Moving on to electric guitar, which I covered yesterday, and was suggesting that all we need for a turnaround here is an end of day close above 0.05, which is exactly what we didn't get, but initial April support there at 0.05, end of day close above that. We're looking for a retest of 0.09 up to 0.09, which was the initial peak for this month to date. Moving on to GreenRoc, which is an impressive situation as well at the moment. Here I've got a bull flag of rising 50 and 200 day lines that are about a week or two away from a golden cross. Just trying to break out of that bull flag between, let's say, 2.3 pence and 2.7 pence. Above that, looking for the old support for this market at 3.5 pence by the end of next month. So above around 2.3 pence, looking for 3.5 on GreenRoc. On to MetalsOne, one of the best situations of the year in the sense that it was identified near the lows, well, at the lows, 2 pence, and we've had scaled dizzy heights ever since. Current situation, we're in a rising trend channel. That's been in place since February when the fun began, and at top of the channel there, 34 pence, which could be a target for the end of next month, especially if we can get some few days through that 20 pence level. But 50 and 200 day lines both rising, and RSI is now pushed above the neutral 50 level as well. Mirriad is next, and here it's a bit like the Corcel set up, in the sense we've got a rising trend channel base waiting for the shares to finally have a push higher. RSI bouncing above neutral 50, so this could be the time now to target 0.42 by the end of next month. I'm probably more optimistic than that, looking for 0.5 by the end of next month, but let's see if we can get through that 200 day line first at 0.32. Upside value while we hold above the floor of the channel there around 0.25. On to a new new stock for the bulletin board heroes. Got a feeling that Northamber is ready to move. We had a gap close by signal. We've had a sideways shuffle along a rising 50-day line, and broken a neckline there at 27.5. Above that, looking for a pretty quick move to 33 pence over the next couple of weeks within that rising trend channel base. Obviously, that would take out the 200-day line at 30 pence, which we haven't been above since, or basically for the last year. On to Physiomics, which I think I missed out earlier in the week. Here you can see that we've got a decent consolidation above the 50-day line. We've broken above a neckline resistance at 0.45. Looking for the shares to fill the gap up to 0.8, which actually I have to say, to be honest, I thought might have been done yesterday. But we're having another go. Well, we've got another chance today, and for the next week or so, I suppose. So 0.8, the initial target while we're above the 50-day line, and 0.45 on Physiomics. Stock, which looks rather good at the moment, surprisingly good actually, is SkinBio Therapeutics, and the reason for that is that one can, if one is optimistic, draw a trend line projection up to as high as 48 pence, probably something for the end of June there, but we are breaking out at the moment through 26 pence, and above that, looking for 50 pence by the end of June, especially while we remain above that 50-day line at 22 pence. On to Tiger Royalties, which looks like it's emerging from the darkness at the moment. Here we've got a broadening triangle base. We just need a bit more oomph above the 50-day moving average at 0.09. Initial target here would be 0.12, best case by the end of next month up to 0.2 pence. And ideally we stay on the right side of the old March support there at 0.08 in the meantime. Star of the show today, and one of the best calls of the year, vying with MetalsOne, is Vast. We had our best case scenario target there at 0.47, which the shares just managed to avoid until yesterday. And currently we're looking for, if I can get the chart right, we're looking for further upside potentially towards the old resistance that we had, if I can get it, which is in the 0.6 to 0.7 band. Go back a long way to get it, and hopefully that would come into play over the next 1 to 2 weeks. 0.7, the last peak there that we had, and you can see the shares had an attempt on that. So really, that would be the next target for those who still want to chase this higher, upside valid or further upside valid while we hold above 0.47, which hopefully we will do today on that stock. On to Wishbone, and here, just for a change, the shares have responded well to drilling news, or the prospect of drilling. Here we've got this rising trend channel base, the floor of the channel there at 0.1 pence, and we're looking for up to 0.21 by the end of next month, obviously news dependent, but the key here would be, or the nice thing here, would be an end of day close above the 50-day moving average at 0.15 before we get to the top of the range. Just wanted to finish off with Fragrant Prosperity, which I forgot to include earlier in the video. Here you can see that we've broken the optimistic target, 1.45. The next level up, really, there's nothing on the chart between the 1.5 pence level and the old resistance there as high as 2.8 pence, which was from 2022. So let's see if FPP can step up to the plate. At the moment, with the bull flag based at 1.6 pence, it looks like it will be able to get to 2.8 pence or even more by the end of next month. That's it for me today. More updates over the weekend.